Welcome to the show. We're at the Diversity and Inclusion Forum, which is happening in Mumbai. This is an event organized by Community Business, and I'm with Preeti Monga, the founder of Silver Linings. Yes. And Preeti, as you can see, is visually impaired, and it's fantastic to be talking to her. And I've just discovered her amazing life story, which I thought you should know too. Preeti, tell me about yourself and how you came about to founding Silver Linings.
Silver Linings. I think I need to tell you the whole story a little bit.
Sure, please do.
Fast forward. I was 6 years old when my parents discovered that I was going to be visually impaired, totally visually impaired, and from then on life was a roller coaster for my parents, less for me. But of course the repercussions do happen, but a very important point was here, they did not know how to bring up a visually impaired child. So they did what they the common sense helped them to do, is they just continued to bring me up as they were bringing me up before they had this information that I was going to be visually impaired and blind. And only thing they helped me with things that they could not explain to me visually. They would, my mother and my father would close their eyes and do a particular act and then tell me how exactly to do it.
Okay.
And that was fantastic. I think that was one of the most important things that have gone into the making of what I am today. So before I go on, I always salute my parents for doing what they did. And from there on, I was in a regular school itself till class 8. And in class 8, the change of management in Loreto Convent, Delhi, the new principal, she decided that it was not good for a visually impaired girl to be in a regular school. So she
was this a co-education school?
No, it wasn't.
It
was a girls'
school. Okay.
And they just threw me out. I mean, I was just given a transfer certificate, and that was it. And that was the most devastating experience in my life, because I was completely cut away from society, cut away from friends, from going out, from education, from everything, and I was completely lost. Again, my parents were the only source of inspiration, and they helped me deal with that.
Okay.
But it took a long time, and then I was put to learn to music. Of course, they say if you're blind, you're musically gifted, which is again a very interesting. I started learning sitar because I had absolutely no confidence left, so there was no point me trying to learn singing, because you have to open your mouth and you have to, you need confidence for that. So I learned sitar. And my mother said that, look, you can become a world-class sitarist if you work hard at it. And because I had lost the dignity and the respect from within myself, and I felt that everybody is, looking down at me. So I worked at it. I used to practice almost 8 to 9 hours a day as a child, as a teenager. And after 7 to 8 years, I did my, diploma in music. But finally, my teacher told me that it's not going to happen, that I can become a teacher, but I cannot become a performing artist.
Okay.
Because I do not have music inside of me. I mean, I'm just not creative where music is concerned, and to become a performing artist.
So it was one of those assumptions then, that people are visually impaired.
Absolutely assumption. That's just an assumption. And
tell me about your youth.
So from my youth, I decided that I was going to, let me get married and have children and be a homemaker, and because that was the other option that was open to me at that point of time. Initially, nobody wanted to marry me because, again, of my disability, but finally, after a lot of failures and struggles, attempts. Yeah, I did get married, but the next within the next few hours, I realized I had married the wrong person, because again I was cheated, and but that was again a very miserable failure, and I was completely under shock and trauma, and it took me 5 years to come over that, start to realize, when I was contemplating that I would commit suicide, and I had 2 children in the process. I have a daughter and a son. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah, wow, really. Now
oh my
I
God.
say wow.
Yeah, how do you do that? Okay.
Yeah, I love them. And then I thought that who will take care of them? So I even thought of, can you imagine this? I mean, I even thought of killing them and then committing suicide. I mean, that was the condition of that was my mental condition at that time. I was not courageous enough to do any of that. Thank God for that. And so I had to find another way out, and the only thing that I could understand was that I needed to be economically independent before I can take on, take on the whole
Make
world.
your own choices and
absolutely,
be,
absolutely. And I did not have any formal qualifications because I developed an aversion to formal qualifications because I was thrown out of school at such a process. So I decided that, education system, what good is an education system that throws you out?
Yeah.
And I was very stubborn. I just did not want to go into, and I could not go into a blind school because there weren't any at that point of time. I'm talking about 1972 and 72, 73, and there was just one school for blind girls in India, in Delhi, and that was not at all. It was in a very dilapidated situation. So the doctors as well as my parents did not have the heart to leave me there.
Okay.
So when it came to economic independence, I had to earn something, so there was no qualifications, and then again visual impairment, no qualifications, nobody would give me a job. What could I do? So it took me almost 2 years to contemplate that what kind of an entrepreneurship project I could take on without any investment. So I even thought of a creche, then that did not sound right, a parlor, this, that and the other. I even thought of, taking on working in homes, in houses as a housemaid, or because I was good at housework. Very, very interesting. Of course, that time that was very motivating. At least something I could do.
To think that you could do something. And earn money. Yeah.
Yes, and I wanted my children to grow up with dignity. I did not want them, though I had family support, but it's not nice for me or for my children to be dependent on somebody else. And for me, dignity, the issue of dignity and self-respect was very, very important. That drove me to continue to research, and then I hit upon an idea that I would become an aerobic instructor. Because I found that people were at that point exercising in front of videotape of Jane Fonda. Or they were doing it with the television, yoga and exercise in front of the television. So I said I would be at least better than a television screen because I had communication skills.
How did you transition from being an aerobics instructor to being now the founder of Silver Linings?
Exactly. So that's you see, I ran classes. Once I did get trained, I ran very successful classes, but now that did not give me the economic support, constant support. It was all very well. The certain seasons I would earn well, but there were seasons where people wouldn't come, and it was a very insecure kind of unsteady income. And I had to look for something that would be more steady, more stable, because there were 2 children involved, and I had to also take care of myself.
Sure.
And in the process also, as you get exposure, people find out about your skills. And I started volunteering at a blind school for blind children. And finally they offered me, a job because they knew that I needed work. They offered me a job as English teacher, and I was teaching physical exercise to them, as well as I was teaching typing, which I knew.
Yeah. So how did you learn these things? I mean, your English is very good. If you dropped out of school at 8, is this, are these language skills things that you sort of learned from your parents and family?
And my parents and I have an aunt who is German. And she was very, very fond of me. And then, of course, the school system, because I was always in a regular school, English medium school. And I have always actually been a very communicative person. And I think that just came along, and I'm very fond of reading. My number one hobby is reading. Now there is no problem. Now the technology,
audiobooks.
Audiobooks. Now the computer can read anything.
Sure.
Anything
Yes,
that
of
is
course,
in the
of course,
format,
yeah.
you know, that computers, phones read, you have reading machines. But at that time, there was nothing when I was growing up, and I would always stick some book or something under anybody's nose who had 2 eyes to read.
You get them to read to you.
I got everything read to me.
Awesome.
And radio and
And look at your diction now, of course.
yes, I think I have done all right. In fact, I have written my autobiography.
You've done very well.
Yeah.
What is your autobiography called?
The Other Senses.
Okay.
It says, it talks about, you know, one sense not being there, but the other senses have become so powerful with training and persistent use and training that I'm at par with everybody else, you know.
Sure.
So
tell me about Silver Linings.
Yes. Silver Linings formally got registered in 2006 as Silver Linings Trust, and we work largely with people with disabilities and empowerment of women. These are 2 large objectives. Under that, I do counseling, I do trainings, I do awareness work in the society, help people to become comfortable with working with people with disabilities, to have them around and have them at par, and realize and also have people with disabilities themselves realize their potential, and to help. Basically, I teach them to move on in life so that their skills can be recognized, you know, if they only move out. So we do a lot of work in that area. And we also work with employment of disabled people within the corporate sector. And we do demystifying workshops for the corporate sector, the existing staff in the corporate sector, so that they, you know, they are comfortable with having people with disabilities within the organization, and help them understand that it is actually a productive CSR. That is, we do CSR
and it's
advisory.
not charity.
It's not charity, and neither I do it on charity. I charge for my work.
And which you should, of course.
Yes,
How do you survive otherwise?
Yes, I have to get by.
Yes.
And the company Silver Lining started in 2010. This company is called Silver Lining Synergies, and Silver Lining Synergies has been primarily launched to, of course, we have to survive, but it's primarily launched to help Silver Linings Trust do what it does at a larger, increase the reach and impact of what we do.
Okay.
So it is a sustainable model that we are trying to bring up. So it's pretty tough. It is pretty tough because it's a little bit easier to get funding, you know, just focus on funding. Yes, of course, we'd love people to come forward and help us, but our primary focus is not on that. Our primary focus is to get business. We do our work, so that we work with dignity. As a company, we are into recruitments. We do executive search, we do corporate trainings, and on soft skills, based on soft skills and behavioral skills. I'm also a motivation speaker. And well,
fantastic. So I mean, you really sound like, you know, you've come full circle from being,
yes,
you know, the included, empowered child to becoming the victim of difficult circumstances, recovering from that, dabbling with different things, and then coming to a point in life and in your career where you've been able to give back to the community, help build, you know, people from within your own community with various disabilities, not just visual disabilities.
With everybody. I mean, for me, disability is not a qualification. Neither it is a disqualification. It's just anybody can have a disability at any point in time.
Yes.
So we're just creating congenial atmospheres for that. You know,
fantastic. So that, and it's interesting that you've now gone on to not just you know, form this trust and promote inclusivity, but you've also got a for-profit division that is helping your purpose and your efforts become sustainable and long-term. It's fantastic. Fantastic talking to you. It's really inspiring, the work that you're doing.
Thank you, and it was wonderful being here.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Join our mailing list at chaiwithlakshmi.in/subscribe and keep in touch with us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and Pinterest.